well, many people think, students of history, think that we have been a colonized people so long that we don't really know what are our basic beliefs, or what we swing from one or the other. As somebody put it, a writer put it, we spent 300 years in a Spanish convent and 50 years in Hollywood. So what are we now after spending our formative years in a Spanish convent, and then later brought to Disneyland or Hollywood? So we don't know if we are as the Spaniards made us, or we are what you tried to make us, you Americans. But I'll have you know, I was reading when I was in Sevilla. I found in the archives in Spain a description of the Filipinos, or at that time the Indios, they were not yet Filipinos, the people, as a Spanish priest with historical inclinations described the natives as he saw them in 1634. No, 1564. Yes, 1634. This was a Spanish historical writer who was a priest, and he said, he described the natives. He said, first he said, uh, the rich ones, he says, have a certain style and elegance in spite of their brown skin. Then going to their nature, he said, they go about surrounded by servants and adorned with gold, he says. They do not run when called. That shows they're still self-respecting. They never run when you call them. They take great pride in they take great pride in their skill in cultivating the soil, and they consider it an insult to be called poor. That's the greatest insult. They do not think it's demeaning to have many affairs with women. They don't think it is at all immoral to have many women. However, they said they like entertaining guests, and they lavish their any guest with gifts of food and other things. And then he says, however, they are not really dishonest. They are not really dishonest. He says, they take pride in their ability to fight. They have very little science, although they have a writing system of their own. They have very little science. And then this is where I say the Filipino hasn't changed. He says, they are of a happy temperament. It says happy, optimistic temperament. And although they are visited by many misfortunes and infirmities, they take their afflictions well. The Americans left us the framework, or the rules of democracy, but not the spirit. We imbibed everything, all the different forms and procedures of a democratic government, but not the spirit in which every man is supposed to be created equal. Every man is entitled to a voice, and one man's voice, a poor man's voice, is as loud as a rich man. That, of course, is the theory, and even in the States, it is also a theory. And I say that we haven't really absorbed the real spirit of democracy, and the United States has partially absorbed it. We were just sightseeing. In other words, we were in this convent, but we hardly changed. We just were looking around, as it were. And again in Hollywood, We were interested spectators and maybe just sort of adopted a few of the outer trimmings, but basically the Filipino remains the same exactly as that Spanish priest described him 400 years ago.